seems to be an issue. So I'm going to record it anyway, and then we will post it on Facebook. So I'm just going to nip straight to the start of our workshop today, which is about open and closed questions. Open and closed questions, what are they and how do you use them in the classroom? Welcome to those of you who are joining us. Hi, Alex. Hi, Diamond. Great to see you both here. I'm just going to continue with the workshop for the moment, but I definitely would love some contributions shortly. So open and closed questions. The objectives and the aims of our workshop today, to define open and closed questions, to outline how and when to use them in the classroom, and to discuss why open questions support engagement and opportunities for assessment. Assessment is a real buzzword in teaching, as it should be, as it is an integral part of good classroom practice, assessing what your learners know and where they are and where they need to go next. So first of all, it's worth just really exploring the difference between open and closed questions, as it's an area that actually we all can get confused with quite regularly, and we think we're asking an open question, but actually it's more closed. So there are some very fundamental sort of rules or definitions, if you like, as to what makes a question open or closed. So an open question, it's a question without a specific direction or purpose. In other words, as the asker, the questioner, you don't necessarily know exactly what the recipient is going to say, the recipient of your question. It can't be asked with a yes or a no answer. So they can't, if they say yes or no, it doesn't fully answer what you've actually asked them. So therefore, by definition again, it requires the recipient to give a detailed answer or to demonstrate with an action, and encourages discussion. It gives control to the learner. It gives the control to the person actually answering the question, because they can dictate where the conversation goes, the information that they give, and they feel more in control rather than just giving a one-word yes or no answer. And I say here useful, it's vital in formative assessment. So when you are assessing in the lesson, during the lesson, throughout the lesson, at the end of the lesson, formative assessment, in other words, which helps you understand where your learners are, what they know, what are they doing currently, and where are they going to go next. Open questions are absolutely vital, and it would be very hard to teach well without using them when they're relating to formative assessment. So closed questions obviously would be the opposite. They tend to be more narrow in focus. They can usually be answered with a single word. Is it sunny today? Yes. What's your favorite food? Apples. They have a look, an eye for what is perceived as a correct answer. They can often be answered yes or no, a limited range of answers, and they're not often used in formative assessment. They can be if you want to make a quick snap judgment on whether or not something has been learned, and you ask a quick question, times tables, or what's the capital of somewhere, or do you feel confident with how to use this strategy? But generally, open questions are more productive. Now, that's not to say that we never use open questions, closed questions, because we'll come to that in a minute. So I'd love to ask you all today, and do please unmute yourself so I can see you and join in. I can see we've got Diamond and Alex and Mara with us today. Welcome, welcome. Are these questions open or closed? The clue often is in the first word. So did you expect that to happen? Can you answer that yes or no, or would you use a longer reply? Which one would that be? Do write your answers or your ideas in the chat. How could you have got a different result? Can you see the difference there between did you expect that to happen and how could you have got a different result? So it's sort of asking almost the same thing, but did you expect that to happen? You could reply yes or no. How could you have got a different result? Thank you, Alex. Absolutely. The first is closed. What do you think about how could you have got a different result? Any ideas for that one? Can you answer that yes or no? Not so easily. You would, that answer encourages the learner to actually explain what they could have done differently, and which by doing that will show you their learning. Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. The second is open and diamond as well, because it calls for detailed explanation. What about the next one? Tell me why you decided to do that. Any ideas? Tell me why you decided to do that. Can we answer it yes, no? I mean, you could have a rather boring answer because I wanted to, but generally, I think that is an open question. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Myra. Thank you, everybody who's contributing here. Was that fun? Open or closed? Yes, no. I mean, they might say, yes, it was amazing because, but it's a closed question. What makes this challenging to do? How do you know? More open questions. What did you think you would find? Have you done this before? That's a bit more closed, isn't it? No, I've never done it before. Yes, I have done it before. Or when do you usually? So these questions, the open questions here are ones that encourage detailed explanations, as Alex has said, and our learners to work through their thinking, to explain why something has worked or it hasn't worked, what they might have done differently, what learning they have gained from this. They are the most useful kind of questions that we can ask. So when do we use open questions? Basically, all the time. There is no right or wrong time to use open questions. We use them all the time. For instance, open questions help us to check understanding in a lesson, identify misconceptions in the lesson and fix them, challenge our learners by saying, why do you think that? What can you explain it further? And in the same way, identify misconceptions. Can you explain why you think that? What could be a bit different, etc. Encourage extended responses. So again, encourage our learners to give more information about why they think something and to know more about how our learners think. It can be very easy as educators to just be the deliverer of the information, but we know that's not good teaching. Good teaching is when we are sharing our knowledge and making sure that it's embedded in our learners through practice, through discussion, through talk, through promoting thinking, and so on. And obviously, open questions help us to plan and deliver effective and meaningful lessons as they tell us where the learners are now and what do we need to do to either support them with the learning point of the learning outcome that you're working towards, or where you're going to push them to next. So I've got a question though. Is there a place for closed questions? Any of our attendees got anything they would like to share? Do unmute yourself if you would like to join in, or write some more ideas in the chat. But do you think then that that means we never use closed questions? Anybody like to unmute? Nope. Okay. Well, I think.
Hello, Eleanor.
Hi, Mara. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm well. So what do you think? Do you think this means there's never any place for an open question, a closed question, or do you think there is still a place for closed questions in the classroom?
Okay, I think according to me, I mean, in my classes, I saw that closed question actually help us to continue the open question. Like, if I ask my students, like, what do okay, is it right or wrong, like this? I mean, closed question. Then I can elaborate it with the open question. So yes, I think there is a place for closed question also.
Absolutely, that's such a good explanation, Mara. I would completely agree with you, because what you were saying there is that you can use that closed question answer to then extend and say who agrees, who has a different idea, why do you think that, and so on. So absolutely. I also think that closed questions are valid sometimes, as I mentioned before, when we need a quick answer for something, when you just need to know, has everybody brought their lunch to school today, or have you got your shoes ready for for games or whatever it is. But also, is anybody stuck? Does anybody need my help right now? So there definitely are times that we use closed questions, but generally open are going to give us more information. So Alex says, yes, there is a place for a closed question, especially when you want to do a quick check to know how the learners are thinking. Absolutely, Alex, completely agree. As we say here, absolutely. Just be aware of how, when, how, and why you are using them. When you need a clear answer, for example, do you like bananas? Is it your turn? When you want to make a judgment against a curriculum goal, can they do it or can't they do it? Sometimes you just need that very quick answer, quick information. So just expanding a little bit on why it's important to use open questions in the classroom. They are crucial for formative assessment. As we've touched on earlier, formative assessment is the assessment that you do all the time. As teachers, it's the assessment that makes sure that our lesson plans, the content of our lesson delivery, and the next steps are right for our learners, and understanding where they are now in their knowledge, and means that we don't make incorrect assumptions that might just be based on curriculum content, but not actually based on what our learners know. So formative assessment refers to a variety of methods that teachers use to carry out evaluations of learner progress, achievement, and academic progress during a lesson. It enables teachers to adapt and modify lessons where necessary, and ensures that you are meeting the needs of all learners. Now, we believe very strongly, as does all good educational pedagogy, in active learning, where learners are given the opportunity to put their learning into practice in a range of ways and are involved in the process rather than just receiving it. So active learning is an approach to instruction that involves actively engaging students with the learning materials through discussions, problem solving, group projects, and more. So students are given the opportunity to put their learning into practice practically, and open questions facilitate that because they ask the learners to explain their learning continually. And also, of course, when giving feedback, we use open questions to find out more about their learning. Now, I'm hoping this is going to work here. Could you please kindly let me know in the chat if you can't hear the sound? I hope you can hear the sound. I'm worried you might not be able to. Let's just check if I do that. The sound is up. Please tell me very quickly if you can't hear the sound.
Okay, so these courses have really helped us in realizing the importance of giving feedback, the correct feedback. Let me not just say feedback, because there are feedbacks that will not benefit the learner or benefit the lesson. So the way we used to give feedback, you just say, okay, that's correct. But what is correct about that what the child has done? The child will not know. Unless if you say, how did you find yourself doing that? How did you go about it? Can you explain more? You try to stretch. So the child will be able to come out and explain what they've learned about it, and others will benefit from that.
Fantastic. So Humara said she could hear that. So that's brilliant. So this is Precious, a teacher that I know well in Zambia, who during the pandemic, when the schools were closed, did our Teach 2030 courses a number of times, including particularly the practical active learning course, which focuses very much on questioning as a part of the active learning process. Did you hear there? Can anybody share in the chat the open questions that she said that she now uses with her class? Let me play it one more time. I would love to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so these courses have really helped us in realizing the importance of giving feedback, the correct feedback. Let me not just say feedback, because there are feedbacks that will not benefit the learner or benefit the lesson. So the way we used to give feedback, you just say, okay, that's correct. But what is correct about that what the child has done? The child will not know. Unless if you say, how did you find yourself doing that? How did you go about it? Can you explain more? You try to stretch. So the child will be able to come out and explain what they've learned about it, and others will benefit from that.
Okay. Well, did anybody like to share the questions that they heard, the open questions in there? Come on, somebody be brave and unmute yourself. Ah, thank you, Mara. How did you find this or that? Absolutely. Explain more. How did you go about that? Thank you. And what was very significant for Precious is that this was new learning for her. So it was really exciting to see how effective she found the Teach 2030 course in helping her understand how to use open questions more in her teaching. And in fact, I don't know why she's still playing. And in fact, I now want you to watch a video of some of the children in Precious's class and to hopefully hear the way they are engaging with each other, which shows very clearly that they understand how to ask good questions themselves. So I want you to think about what impact Precious's own learning has had on the learning and use of questions for her pupils. So I hope you can hear this too.
Asking me the way you can put these flowers in nuts. I'm going to take soil and put this. Okay. I'm not sure if you're going to get such good. What about it? And what are you going to do? Thomas, that is sensitive.
I love this video. It's quite hard to hear everything they're saying, but I think you can get the feeling, you can get the gist that the little girl is saying, what are you going to find? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? And the other participants in her group are comfortable with explaining their thinking, what they're doing and why they're doing it. It shows children who are used to discussing their learning, which is exactly what we want to see in a well-run and active learning environment. Has anybody got anything they would like to comment on about these two videos? Anything you found interesting? Do write your comments in the chat, otherwise I'll move on. That's actually coming to the end of our short workshop today on open and closed questions. Now, I know that we've got certainly two of our fantastic Teach 2030 ambassadors here with Alex and Humara. I don't think you're an ambassador, Diamond, but I might be wrong. So if I am, I do apologize. It's great to see a representation of our new ambassadors. So I know that our ambassadors are part of our, have been doing our courses already. So please do sign up for one of our courses if you haven't done so. So just to consolidate the learning that we've been considering today, open and closed questions do both have valid uses within the classroom. We're absolutely not saying there is no space for closed questions, just saying think about them. Open questions are generally used more, especially as part of formative assessment. They support formative assessment, active learning, and learner engagement, as you have seen in that lovely clip of the children discussing their learning. Anybody got anything that they would like to share or discuss or volunteer about their experience of open or closed questions in their classroom? Any, Alex, anything that you'd like to share with us today? Diamond? I want to put you on the spot. Well, I am slightly putting you on the spot, but it's always so good to hear from our community how they try things in their classrooms. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to bring this workshop to a close today, but thank you so much for joining us. This workshop will be posted on Facebook. It did not let me, for some reason, stream onto Facebook today, which was incredibly irritating. but it will be posted on Facebook. It will also be on our YouTube channels. It'll be on our workshop section of the teach2030.com website. If you are one of our ambassadors and would like to share it with your community, then please do share the link that you will find on Facebook or on YouTube. And of course, you will receive a follow-up email with some resources to help you and to share and to make sure that open questions support you in your teaching. So thank you very much. Is there anything anybody would like to contribute? I don't want to stop anybody joining in, but I also don't want to keep asking you to join in if you are happy with the way things are.
Elena, I would like to share something. Thank you so much for today's workshop, because it's my favorite part and that I learned from the course. And I would like to say that, yes, it's helped me a lot. Because now I'm trying to use open question in my classes, and I think that my learners are more engaged in the class. So thank you so much. Yes,
that's great. So what would how do you know they're more engaged? What are the signs that are showing you that they are more engaged in their learning and what you're doing?
They're talking more than before, talking with me or with the other students, and they're sharing their things. Okay, like with the open question, they are sharing their thoughts and their ideas, and yes, they are talking rather than stay silent. So I think they are more engaged now.
That's so great, Humara, but that's also full credit to you, because you must be providing the environment where they feel confident to talk and to give their opinions and their thoughts and to engage with you and each other more. And that's not always easy. I've got some wonderful comments in the chat, actually. Alex, thank you for the presentation. A pleasure, Alex. Lovely to have you here. And Diamond, I've been calling you Diamond because it says Diamond on your name, but here you have got Olusegun. So I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I've been using the right one. But it's interesting that you said you found it's been amazing since you started to be deliberate about using open questions. Are you able to unmute yourself and give us an example of what has been the change in your teaching or in the engagement with your learners since you've started to put a focus and, as you say, to be deliberate about asking open questions? Would you like to share anything with us?
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Hi, lovely to have you here. Tell us.
Yeah. Thank you for this amazing session. For me, my fear initially was that my students will get bored when I start to inquire, to begin to know the why, the how, the what do you think about this? Okay, what if we use this approach? And that was my initial fear. But just like I said in the chat box, when I started to be deliberate about this, I saw that they were ready to explore. They were ready to think outside the box. And for me, that was a green light. So I became more intentional about that. They become more engaged in the classroom. They want to make their own contribution. They want to think outside the box, and then it helps them to connect what we're discussing in class with what they experience in their day-to-day activity.
Do you know, I love the word you used there, which was intentional. That's a really good word, I think, for us as teachers, to really think about what we are doing and what we're saying, and to make sure that it's all coming with an actual intention as opposed to just sort of careless words. And I think what you've just said there about being intentional and deliberate with the questions that you're asking is such a sign of great teaching. Your children must be lucky to have you. But I'm also so thrilled to see that you feel it's had a real impact and a change in the engagement of your learners, because that will undoubtedly have a change and an impact on their learning outcomes. So that's two wonderful bits of feedback from you all today. I'm so pleased to hear how Teach 2030 courses have been supporting you. Thank you so much. Please do share this recording when you get sent it with your communities. Encourage more to join us in our workshops. We do them every month, and we really love to have as many of our communities sharing their experiences, because you are the ones out there in the classrooms, and it's really important that you are the ones actually giving us the information. Is there anything else anybody has to say, or shall I say goodbye? I think that's it. Thank you all so much, everybody. Bye-bye. You're welcome. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for your messages. Have a great rest of day.